see it all too often, whether we are in the middle of it or distantly watching on television, how conflicts, epidemics and natural disasters rip nations apart and inflict human suffering. Natural disasters alone affect more than 250 million people a year on average. Born out of a desire to alleviate suffering, Red Cross and Red Crescent societies are helping people in all kinds of disasters. Millions of volunteers and staff give medical assistance to the wounded, clean water to the thirsty, food to the starving, and shelter to those who have lost their homes. But there is more to disasters than meets the eye. They cause fear, pain and grief. Though the emotional wounds may be less visible than physical destruction, disasters have severe psychological impact. Long after the guns have fallen silent, the broken bones are mended and the houses rebuilt. The trauma, anxiety and grief may still linger.
She is my daughter and she is my son.
वही कुछ महसूस है होता है जिस तरह के पहला कार है कौन सा और उसमें जैसी रहते हैं ऐसे हंसी खुशी बच्चे मुकम्मल तौर होता है कम्प्लीटली ठीक ठाक से और उसी तरह हंसी खुशी रहने आले उस तरह तस्वर पे चाहता लगेगा बस अचानक जैसे मामला हो गया.
No one can bring back Zahour's 2 teenage children who died in the 2005 Pakistan earthquake. But through psychosocial support activities, the Red Cross and Red Crescent can help him and other survivors overcome their losses with dignity and live with the consequences of disasters. In Sri Lanka, after the 2004 tsunami, widows were left without breadwinners. According to local tradition, a widow is not allowed to leave her home in the months after the death of her husband. They were left alone with nothing to do and nothing to live off. To support these women's return to a meaningful daily life and to give them some new skills, the Red Cross provided, among other things, sewing machines. It might seem small, but can make passive victims into active survivors. The 2004 school siege in Beslan, Russia, deeply affected the entire town. 1,200 people were kept hostage in this gym for 3 days. 334 never came out alive. More than half were children.
Behind each gravestone in this cemetery there is a long story of a young child.
Моя маленькая девочка – это Кристина, которой нужно было еще жить.
Zelina survived the tragedy, but lost her 2 children, her sister and 2-year-old niece. Russian Red Cross is helping her and others to cope through a psychosocial support program set up to ease the agony. In armed conflicts, children are always amongst the most vulnerable. Some lose entire families and are left to fend for themselves.
We're walking, so we all lost. So my father there, my sister, my mother ran away. She went, and I went by myself. I want to be a soldier because they killed my father, so I went there to be a soldier.
Some 40 million children were exposed to conflicts in 2006 alone. Every day, children are left without the help they need. Activities around the West Bank aim to create a breathing space from the tension forced upon the children by the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine. Living with daily hostilities leaves many children frightful and suspicious. The Palestinian Red Crescent runs psychosocial programs at selected schools in the West Bank. Through different creative activities, such as drawing, volunteers help the children to talk about their difficulties.
The idea of this psychosocial support is to bring back these children to what they should live and what they should do as children.
Role plays help the children build up trust and provide them a chance of expressing their feelings. The role plays and other activities allow the children to be more playful and to trust in themselves and others. Trust and playfulness was also encouraged among children in Pakistan following the earthquake in 2005. They were told to look in a box because there was a very special person inside it who they need to take care of. The box contained a mirror. Afterwards, they talked about how they felt and who could help them take care of this special person. This was one of several ways to allow them to talk about their fear. A growing number of Red Cross, Red Crescent societies are now conducting psychosocial programs after emergencies and during armed conflicts, helping people establish a sense of normality in abnormal situations is essential to recovery. The local Red Cross, Red Crescent volunteers are at the core of all psychosocial activities. Often they are the first ones to arrive after an accident or a disaster. They know the culture, speak the language, and understand how people feel. Volunteers are also personally affected by the disaster and might have lost loved ones themselves. It is therefore important that the Red Cross, Red Crescent also support and take care of staff and volunteers. In Magen David Adom in Israel, as in Red Cross and Red Crescent societies worldwide, emergency responders are frequently exposed to traumatic situations. Their own well-being is often forgotten. Avishai, a paramedic, was the first at the scene of a cafe bombing in Jerusalem. Afterwards, only a technical debriefing was conducted.
We didn't even think that they need some more time. It was just like, have a good night's sleep and come back and you are on the job. But we need to pay some attention also to their emotions.
And it wasn't easy. I was then back 21 years old, yeah. I was 21 years old. And according to the debriefing, I was more than okay. I was more than okay.
Volunteers and staff may pay a high toll if their well-being is not taken care of. Magen David Adom in Israel, as many sister Red Cross, Red Crescent societies around the globe, is now scaling up staff support. In Beslan, a special support program was set up for staff and volunteers to help them in their work with the affected population. Help was given through support groups, easy access to psychologists, and a well-developed training schedule. Strong volunteers and staff are essential to all Red Cross and Red Crescent assistance, including psychosocial support. They need help to help others. To improve the lives of people, it is crucial to strengthen the psychosocial capacity globally. It might not be possible to reduce the scope of conflicts, disasters and epidemics, but it is certainly possible to reduce their impact and to strengthen people's ability to cope with the changes. In the time of crisis, psychosocial support is not an optional luxury, it is an obligation.